Hey everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Converting Clicks on Social Media, Navigating the Maze of Remarketing. My name is Riley McLaughlin, and I'm the content manager here at Main Street ROI, and I'll be your webinar host for today. I'm also joined by Jonathan Logan of Storytellit, who will actually be your presenter. Real quick, the format of this webinar is going to be about 45 minutes of presentation with up to 15 minutes of Q&A at the end. Uh, if you have a question at any time, please just go ahead and put that in the chat. If it's kind of a quick question, I may just stop Jonathan and ask that real quick. But for the most part, we are going to leave questions to the end of the webinar. This webinar is also being recorded. So what's going to happen is tomorrow morning, you can expect an email with a link to the recording, as well as a link to the slides. So you'll get both. And with that, I'm going to pass it off to Jonathan.
Wonderful. Thank you, Riley and Main Street ROI, for the opportunity to present to everyone here today. And today's webinar is really chock full of valuable insights on converting clicks on social media. I'm going to be helping all of you navigate the maze that is remarketing. And I use the word maze on purpose. It's a real appropriate term because there is a clear path to success with social media remarketing, just as there is a clear path through any maze, but there are also endless turns you could take that lead you nowhere or right back to where you started. And I don't want you all in an endless maze. I want you finding success. I want you to be able to use the same strategies that are used by top brands to continually engage their audience and push them to convert. So let's jump into things. My name is Jonathan. I am the VP of Services at Storytellit. We are a social media agency that supports hundreds of businesses across North America. And what we do is implement paid social media strategies to help businesses accomplish measurable goals. And by measurable, I mean things like leads, purchases, registrations, calls, those types of things. And I'm excited to be your guide through the maze of remarketing. So let's start with mapping our journey for today. Here's what's on the agenda. We are going to start with reviewing the basics of social media remarketing. So we'll cover what it is, how it works. Then we're going to be discussing remarketing in a cookieless future. Is that even something possible? Is that something you can do? You'll find out. We'll then move on to funnels, and funnels are how you pull the greatest value out of social media as possible. It involves introducing your brand to new people and moving them along the journey to the point of conversion. Fourth, we're going to review some practical applications of remarketing. I have some do's and don'ts that will help you see how remarketing comes together and how you can implement it for your business. And I also have a foolproof formula to implement a remarketing funnel, kind of an outline for you to be able to follow if you want to implement remarketing for your own business. And finally, we're going to close things out with the Q&A that Riley mentioned. This can definitely be a more complex topic, so we'll have time to review and answer your questions at the end. But please ask them as they come up because it might be something I can address in the moment, and I don't want you to forget come the end of the webinar as we go through more and more information. Oh, without further ado, let's get into the basics and help you establish that strong foundation on remarketing, the technique we use to convert interest into action. So it starts with remarketing. Even if you don't know what it is, it's probably something we've all experienced. Remarketing is the act of displaying content to users who have previously engaged with your business. And the goal is to build or re-engage their interest and drive them to conversion. It's how you bring someone from being just generally aware that your business exists to becoming a consumer and supporter, someone that refers people to you. And something that I've come across a lot over the 12 plus years that I've been doing social media marketing now is people can get a little confused because sometimes interest-based targeting feels like remarketing. So before we go any further, just to be clear, remarketing is not when you start looking for cars and then start seeing ads for Hondas and Fords and Subarus and fuzzy dice for your mirror. That is behavior or interest-based targeting. You've shown an interest in cars and are now seeing ads related to cars because you displayed that interest. What remarketing is when you look at a car at a specific dealership and then start seeing ads from that dealership with that same car or similar cars. This is remarketing because you've interacted with that specific company and product and are now seeing follow-up ads to continue to build interest and drive you to convert. That first car may not have been what you wanted, but now that the dealership has continued to engage you, has shown you other ads with other vehicles, you find exactly what you need. And remarketing is that tool that kept you invested with that specific dealership and kept you interested until that conversion point. So the next question I always get is, how do we power this? How can we identify the audiences for remarketing? How did that dealership know I looked at that car and know to show me other cars and continue to engage with me until I purchased? It's through something we call remarketing sources. This is what feeds your remarketing efforts. And some of these sources are lower value, while others are higher value. And value is just determined by the quality of the information and what is included in that information. And even though it may be labeled as low or high value, every source here is definitely valuable. Now, it's just lower value because in comparison to the higher value information, you might be missing some details that can really help improve your campaign. For example, an email list and a customer list with value both could include the same people. So if you did just basic remarketing, you'd be reaching out to the same people that are on the list. But when you add the value, you're able to prioritize higher value conversions. So if you just have a general customer list versus a customer list and you say this customer has been worth $5,000, this one's only been worth $100 to our business, you're able to feed more valuable information into Meta, into LinkedIn, wherever you may be running your marketing campaigns, and be able to prioritize then higher value conversions. Anyways, these sources are what allow us to remarket. And you may say you want to remarket people that have visited your website but not yet purchased. And to do that, you'd be using the Pixel or the Conversions API. You may want to remarket to people that have engaged with your brand in the past to introduce a new product. That could be through the email list or the customer value list or through brand interactions. You may want to remarket to your top customers to strengthen their opinion of your brand, drive referrals, those types of things. Using the email list or the customer list with value could be a perfect solution for that. You also may want to remarket to someone that has added a bunch of items to their cart but left without checking out, which brings us back to the Pixel and the Conversions API. And this is just meant as a glimpse into the things you can accomplish with remarketing and what we'll be reviewing today. But before we go any further, we do need to address somewhat of the elephant in the room, which is, are we heading towards a cookie-less future? And what that means is, cookies are the things on your web browser that track the sites you go to, the information you look at, all of those pieces. And there have just been ongoing changes in the industry on moving towards a cookie-less future, in a sense, doing privacy settings on iOS to Google coming out and adjusting how cookies work in their browser. It's definitely a shift in the industry. And there's been that kind of ever-growing emphasis on user privacy and data protection that's driving this change. And it's leading to some pretty big changes in how marketing works as a whole, but more directly impacts how we can remarket to users. But I'm not scared of it. There's always hope. There's always a positive side to it. These social media giants, Meta, which is Facebook and Instagram, LinkedIn, even Google, like they're adapting every single day. And Meta, first and foremost, is an advertising company. So they will figure out a way around these obstacles. And they already have started to with things like link histories, which they released last month, and the conversions API, which has been around for much longer, but does address kind of these cookieless future concerns. So to understand how we can adapt our businesses to thrive in a cookieless future, I first want to bring us through how the pixel works and work our way up to the conversion API, which is kind of like the stronger version of the pixel in a sense. So the pixel is a tool from Meta that allows you to connect consumer behavior on your website to a user on Facebook or Instagram. And the exact details are private. You're not going to see that Jonathan, went to your website on this date, but it does allow you to advertise to the people that the pixel identifies. So you just have a giant group of people that have taken certain actions. You have a number of the people that have done that, and you're able to remarket to those specific people on that list. So if a person is logged into Facebook or Instagram in their web browser, if they're on a computer, or have the app on their phone, and they visit a website, then the pixel starts to take action. The info feeds through the web browser. The pixel sees what the consumer did. It sees how long they spent on your site, what pages they visit, if they interact with any content. It sees if they add things to their cart or if they convert, or at least it can do those things. And the pixel does have a pretty big flaw, not by the design of the pixel, but because of the industry changes into the cookieless future. You see, the pixel is dependent on the device, browser, and privacy settings of the individual to allow tracking, which if that isn't allowed, if it's not all clear to share data, you're not able to see that full journey. You don't see what that consumer does. And Meta's ad platform does not receive the data that it needs to remarket. And when you run campaigns, they also won't be able to report on conversion just from the users that don't allow tracking, which may continue to grow over time as these changes go through. And the most common reasons this happen are, connectivity issues and loading errors right now. That's the most common reason. It's not the cookieless future. It's people that open up the site and the pixel would work, but during load, there was an error or something timed out, or I've got spotty internet, or for whatever reason, the technology just didn't work, which is rare, but it can happen. But more importantly, looking towards the future, there is that general industry change, this cookieless future. However, those shortcomings are only due to how the pixel works in relationship to the browser, so there is a workaround. And if you don't use this workaround, you're going to see your for action increase by upwards of 150%, and that's the equivalent of losing 60% of your marketing budget. And this impact comes from the fact that you're not going to be able to optimize for conversion, only individual link clicks. And that's the type of optimization we were using 5, 6, 7 years ago, not the more valuable optimization centered around conversions like purchases or leads. So let me introduce the conversion API. This is the tool that allows you to connect consumer behavior on your website to a user on Facebook or Instagram, just like the pixel does, but it also goes beyond just the website. Because it's installed on the web server itself, it interacts directly with the user and their actions on the site instead of having to rely on the web browser. And it can also be connected to your CRM or your offline data set if you can export like your purchases from the POS system. And you can use that to attribute customer actions to the people that had seen or interacted with your ads on Facebook and Instagram. So instead of a pixel event being triggered and the Facebook pixel loading on the browser and then sharing that event data with Facebook, the Conversions API establishes a direct channel for events between the web server and Facebook, so you're no longer going to be dependent on browsers and you've worked your way through that cookieless future. But realistically, you should be using both the pixel and the Conversion API. It's just going to maximize the data that's coming in. You're going to gain greater visibility into that full funnel of your customers' activities. You're also going to be able to personalize ads better based off that consumer's preferences. And you can bring in more deeper information to optimize the campaigns that you're running. And understanding what the consumer is interested in and how they've interacted with you in the past is where you unlock the value of remarketing. Being able to secure and strengthen the insights that power your meta campaigns is what you're able to accomplish here. So you're going to be able to better customize your audiences. You can target unique segments of your most valuable consumers. You can create lookalike audiences or new people that share similar interests and demographics to your customers. It would be like if you took 100 of your last customers, had them answer a survey with 500 questions on it. What Meta is going to do is find new people that answered that same survey the same ways that your customers did. That way you can reach new people that are similar to your best customers. We can also create value-based lookalikes. So the same thing, but we're prioritizing our top customers rather than just all of our customers. We can create website custom audiences, people who have done certain things on our website, and we can create the same audiences from offline data sets as well. It's going to allow you to personalize your ads. You can incorporate more of that customer preference into the ads that people see on Facebook and Instagram. And you can even set up dynamic ads that kind of work with a broader audience for cross-selling. And it's going to allow you to optimize and measure your outcomes as well by driving the outcomes that matter most to your business and optimizing for things like conversion, values, and leads that are being generated. And the value of remarketing is really what you make of it, because remarketing can be used to generate leads. It can be used to increase sales. It can certainly earn you referrals. It can be used to build sales funnels by first educating consumers with brand awareness or video views, building interest and bringing them to your website to learn more, converting them through a lead form or a conversion tracked on your website. I mean, the possibilities are nearly endless. It really is what you make of it. But funnels are what allows us to engage our consumer and generate leads and sales at the lowest cost possible. So let's talk about funnels and bringing consumers from awareness to conversion. And this is where the magic really happens. We've all probably seen a standard funnel before, I'm sure. Social media follows that same funnel. A funnel consists of everyone that is at least aware of your business or aware of the purpose of this funnel. And there will be more people at the top of the funnel in the awareness section and definitely fewer at the bottom. And as we move people down the funnel, the intent to purchase increases. And people can move through this funnel as quickly as they need to. Some people will do it immediately, like the impulse buy. They become aware of you, they're interested immediately, and they convert immediately. People can move through it quick. Other people are going to move through it pretty slow. And we should always be continuing to refill our funnel with new people all the time. Otherwise, it's going to run dry. And if it makes sense, when people leave this funnel, we might bring them to another funnel, a new funnel, to upsell them or cross-sell them on other products that we offer. And people enter the funnel by first becoming aware of your business, your product or service. Then they need to build interest, start considering your solution, and then finally convert, purchase, whatever action we want them to. But how are we going to move people through this funnel? How are we going to know if they're just discovering us for the first time, if they're interested, if they're really considering if we're the right option for them? And that's where remarketing comes into play. You're identifying people that should already be in your funnel via your website data or your customer list or all the sources that we spoke on before. And you're continuing to market to them to help bring them through your funnel to that point of conversion. And Meta platforms, LinkedIn too, they support your ability to bring your audience through this funnel. The way it works is when you create an ad, you select what your objective is. You can see some of the objectives here on the screen. you tell the ad platform exactly what you're looking for. Based on what you select here, it's going to drastically impact your campaign performance, and it may open specific ad features, but the biggest impact it has is more behind the scenes. This is all powered by their knowledge of users and machine learning technology. They know when you're more likely to watch a video or comment or shop online. They know when you're more likely to do something for work versus pleasure. Because they know who in your audience is going to be more likely to watch that video. And if you run a video views ad, they'll favor them. If you want to drive a purchase and they're targeting me in their audience, they know that I impulse buy things at 11 p.m. on Friday nights, and that's when they're going to show me the conversion ad. You know, they make it their business to know their users, their interests, and their intent to be able to deliver more powerful campaigns. So, you know, we know that Meta's business is advertising, so they want to make that as powerful as possible for the advertisers. And they know where you are in the funnel. So if we take it from the top, once we have a goal, and I mean a top level business goal like generating 10 new clients per month, we start with our audience. We need to know that business goal, because otherwise, what is the exit point of our funnel? And it should be as specific as possible to drive the best results. So with remarketing, the audience is going to come from the sources that we covered earlier, like your website with the pixel and conversions API, or a customer list with customer value, or previous interactions with your business on social media, or interacting with a certain video that you've published. And there are a lot more options, as you can see here, which you can pick from when building out your custom audience for remarketing. And once you've selected one, you can get very granular as to what data you want to utilize from that whole source. But let's say you don't have that existing source of data. How can we reach new people and bring them into our funnel to then begin remarketing to them? I don't expect everyone to come in here with giant email lists and have had the pixel on their website this entire time and be using the conversion API. So you might be kind of on square one and need to build an initial audience to build interest and start remarketing to the people that you're new to engage with. So how do we, build that funnel with new consumers? Well, Meta has a fantastic new tool called Advantage Plus Audiences. And what Meta Advantage Plus Audiences do is let you use Meta's AI technology to find your campaign audience. And when tested by Meta against other audience options, Advantage Plus audiences have typically, seen improved performance on all objectives. They saw a 7% lower median cost per website conversion and a 28% lower average cost per click, lead, and landing page view. And the way it works is by using AI, machine learning, all the information that Meta knows about you and your audience. They use past conversions, data from your pixel, interactions with previous ads to find who is most likely to be interested in your business, your product, what you're selling. And when you build this audience, you can let the AI do its thing. It will look at your ad and your website, and it will kind of pick who is going to be the best person to show your ads to. But I always recommend to add specific information about the people you want to reach as what's called an audience suggestion. And what Meta will do is prioritize people matching your suggestions before going and searching more broadly. So Advantage Plus audiences create the broadest possible audience to search within, giving the AI a lot of flexibility on picking out who the best people are to show it to, which is really great for introducing your brand or your products to new people. But even Meta themselves say that Advantage Plus should not be used with remarketing. This is not a tool for remarketing. This is a tool to build audiences, introduce us to new people, and those new people are the ones we remarket to. So this is the audience building tool, allowing us to introduce our business to new people. Once they're introduced, we remarket to them to drive them to the point of conversion. So in summary, the value of our funnel is in recognizing how people move from awareness, interest, to consideration, to conversion, and recognizing how to remarket to those people along every step of the way. And this was just a really brief overview of those tools. So let's now discuss how to practically apply these skills and understanding the importance of using analytics to inform our remarketing strategies and the decisions that we make. And this is going to ensure that our decisions are based on measurable outcomes and performance indicators rather than just gut feelings and thinking you know what's best or incorrect assumptions on the data that you're viewing. Now, here is an example as to what not to do. And this came to me from a new client that was running ads, but struggling to see any actual conversions. And the conversions would be purchases of their product. And we can see that they've spent over $5,000 on ads and haven't had a single purchase yet. And they were super confused. They're like, oh, we put so much money in this, how are we not seeing any conversions? And they even thought they knew that they were doing best because they set up in their mind what they thought would be a funnel. From bottom up, they started with brand awareness to introduce their product to people, really, hit it in front of as many people as possible. Brand awareness is the lowest cost per impression out of any of the advertising options on Facebook. So that's going to allow you to introduce your brand to new people and see how they react. So they started with brand awareness, and then they moved into website traffic to bring people to the website. They wanted to have them learn more about the product on their page, see some testimonials, those types of things. And they spent almost $1,200 on bringing people to their website. They had almost 6,500 landing page views. So that's just not clicks on the ad, but people that were tracked through the Pixel or Conversions API to have fully loaded that page. It then moved into lead generation. They spent about $1,500 on generating leads. They wanted to collect people's names and emails to add them into their newsletter system. And they had 917 people follow through and submit their information. And finally, they moved to conversions and had spent about $1,400 at this time on bringing people back to the website with the intent to purchase. But all that money they had seen no sales come through. So what could the problem be here? And that problem, the issue is that there was no remarketing done. There was none done, guys. If we look at this, if we tally the total reach here, the number at the bottom, 454,000, that is the unique reach. The individual numbers on each row, that tells us how many unique people were reached by each campaign. And the 454 at the bottom tells us overall across all campaigns, the number of unique people reached. So across the 4 campaigns, the total reach was 467,019, but we can see the unique reach is 454,201, which means of over 450,000 people, we had no more than 12,818 people that saw more than one campaign, which means the people we were building awareness with weren't getting brought to the website with website traffic ads. The people who were engaging and going to the website were not being shown the lead generation ads. And the people that we were hoping to convert had not followed that funnel. We were banking on impulse buys, which really isn't going to happen. And with building the awareness side of things, That's when we saw a majority of that reach and impressions as well. 321,000 of the 454,000 people we reach were through building brand awareness. After that, we were just banking on impulse buys, that someone would see the conversion ad once or twice maybe and then buy, and that doesn't happen. And it stings to look at this and see that they didn't leverage remarketing, because they were seeing really great results. I mean, under $2 for someone's name and emails, 18 cents to get someone for that full landing page view. But without remarketing, these people, they saw us and they may have been interested, but then they moved on to never see us again because we were not remarketing to these people. And we can see that through the frequency column. The frequency is the average number of times each person saw an ad. And in this case, it's only 1.46. So most people only saw one ad. We didn't move them through a funnel. We showed them one ad and hoped they would impulse buy, whether it was from the brand awareness ad or the website traffic ad or the lead generation ad or the conversion ad. They only saw one of them and we hoped that they would buy from it. And this is the maze of remarketing. This is someone trapped in that maze. They're in an endless loop and they aren't actually making any progress on their funnel. What we would ideally see here, if we were remarketing, we would see that the unique reach would almost be no greater than the reach of our brand awareness campaign. Because our brand awareness campaign introduces us to people, and then we remarket to the ones that are showing interest and buyer signs with website traffic, lead generation, and conversion ads. We're not bringing new people into our funnel with website traffic, lead gen, conversion ads. We're focusing on progressing our funnel with the existing people that showed interest. So what we might like this to see is the unique reach should almost match the brand awareness side at 321,000. And then landing page views, lead generation, and conversion should get narrower reach, but only include people from that initial 321,000 that were showing interest and engagement with our brand. And when you adapt these strategies, this is what happens. These are the doors that it opens. And here is a social media funnel, but really, look at the metrics we're focusing on. These are page views, add to carts, checkouts, purchases. These are all metrics from outside social media. It's not likes, impressions, followers, things like that. It's more metrics that matter. And these were able to be attributed back to social thanks to the conversions API. And we can see that about 2,800 people, if we look at the top of the page views column on the left, we see about 2,800 people visited the site. From those 2,800 people that visited the site, 22% of them, or 620 people, added items to their cart. 73% of those 620 people that added items to their cart initiated a checkout. So that's 452 people that started to check out. And 43% of the people that initiated a checkout purchased. So 194 people purchased at least one item. And we can see that people on average viewed 9 pages, added 4 items to their cart, initiated a checkout 3 times, and purchased once. And this tells us that people are interested. They're shopping around the site, they're adding items to their cart, but they initiate a checkout without purchasing pretty often. And in fact, we can see the value of some of these actions like add to cart and purchases. So we can see that there were over $26,000 of items added to carts, but only $11,800 of purchases, meaning we have $15,000 worth of abandoned carts. And that $15,000 worth, that's a remarketing audience. I can remarket to the people that have added items to their cart and exclude those who have purchased to get them back to the site, to get them to check out. Because if they're adding things to their cart, they're interested. They want to buy. Something came up that maybe they didn't have the money right then. Maybe they needed to talk it through with a significant other. Maybe they just weren't 100% sold on it. So remarketing to those people brings them back to our site and gets them to purchase. And beyond the fact that our remarketing funnel brought that $11,800 in revenue, we can continue to remarket to those abandoned carts to recover $15,000 of revenue, plus market to the new people that are coming to the site. This is just a snapshot. This is just a snapshot of one moment in time. As we continue to advertise and build, there's going to be new people that are coming to the site, new people that are adding items and not checking out, and new people that we can remarket to recover that abandoned cart revenue. And that's something that's really powerful. You know, this is money that is being left on the table, essentially. So being able to hit those people and get them back to your site and get them to finish their purchase journey is going to uncover, you know, in this case, more revenue than what came through the initial campaign. So let me give you all a winning formula for creating this type of remarketing funnel, utilizing multiple campaign objectives and different remarketing audiences for every step of the way. And this is kind of our standard remarketing funnel. If you follow this, you're going to be in a good place. And this is just starting to scratch the surface. So what you want to do is start with a brand awareness campaign using a video. And I always recommend using a video at this stage because our goal is to bring people into our funnel. You know, yes, we can remarket here for low cost per impression to educate your existing audience on things like business updates, but let's focus on the conversion funnel and bringing new people in. So we are not remarketing here on the awareness side, but instead targeting a broader audience using Advantage Plus audiences that we discussed earlier. You can also use lookalike audiences of your existing customers. And this is going to allow us to reach new people. We're going to show them the video that is the creative of our ad, and we're going to track how they respond to that video, which allows us to then see the people that are showing interest in our business because of their interactions with that video. We can see the percent of the video that they've watched. So we could launch a campaign to drive traffic to our website, a landing page, and show it specifically to people that watched at least 75% of that video. Because if we have a 30, 60-second video and someone watches at least 75% of it, you know, it caught their interest, it kept them engaged, they watched it. Maybe they didn't watch the full thing because maybe it kind of fizzled out at the end. Maybe they got some good information from it and then got a little less engaged. But those are people that you caught their attention, they were in it to watch it, and we're starting to see that they're interested. We can also include here a customer list if we want to, you know, engage to people that are already in the system to rebuy, things like that. But we're now showing ads that bring that interested user to our website, but only if we know that they're interested because they watched that video or are on our customer list. We then can move into lead generation. Maybe we have a lead magnet like an ebook or a free resource. Maybe we can give them a free consultation. Maybe there can be a newsletter sign up. Maybe there's a discount offer they can claim, you know, submit your information and get $5 off your first order, that type of thing. But here we're remarketing to people that are likely to be considering, not just interested, but you know, they're starting to consider buying this. They're considering our solution, and we've deemed this because they've watched at least 95% of our video, or they visited our website, or they've looked at specific pages of our website. You know, some people, you might have, you know, a wide variety of services. I work with a lot of people and like contractors and things like that. They might do roofing, they might do windows. So if you're running a roofing remarketing funnel, you want to target people that have visited specifically the roofing pages of your website. Or maybe you're including people that have engaged with any posts or ads that we've done. which is only helpful if your posts and ads are connected to your advertising objectives. So use that one sparingly if it's relevant based off of what you've been actively promoting over the past 30, 60, 90 days. And here at this point, we are remarketing to a highly interested audience and allowing them to take that step to conversion. And finally, that conversion point, this is a hyper-specific remarketing campaign, and I'd only show it to people that have spent the most time on your website or landing page, the top 25% of time on your site. People that have viewed specific content on your website, and this helps you tailor the ads to the individuals and what products they're interested in. Also to people that have added items to their cart but not yet purchased, the example we were talking about a few minutes ago. And to people that have come in as a lead but not yet converted. They've entered your newsletter list, they claim that free resource, but they haven't purchased the full product that you're looking to sell. So if you follow this standard funnel, you'll see significantly improved campaign performance for your business. And you'll start with building awareness with a broader Advantage Plus audience. And I'll throw some numbers out here, guys, just to illustrate the funnel and how it works. So maybe you reach 100,000 people in that initial awareness campaign. You then remarket to those viewed that at least 75% of that video. And maybe that's only 10,000 people of the 100,000 people that saw your awareness campaign. We then remarket to those that viewed at least 95% of the video and multiple videos, or have visited the website, or have engaged with other relevant posts or ads. And maybe that's only 1,000 people. So we started at 100,000 people we were building awareness with, 10,000 people we're really interested in, 1,000 people are actively considering, and finally we market to people that are most likely to buy. Those that have spent the most time on the site, those that viewed specific content or did things like embed in their cart, and maybe there's 200, 300, 500 people in your funnel at this point. But this funnel isn't just one and done. It doesn't go 100,000, 10,000, 1,000, 500, and then you toss it and start again. That's not how it works. You're constantly adding new people to this funnel. And again, people go through the funnel at different speeds. Some are going to go through immediately. Others are going to need some time. It might take a full year before they convert. So the longer your funnel is active, the longer you're remarketing, and the more people who will be at every stage of the funnel. So 3 months in, instead of being 100,000, 10,000, 1,500, you might be 150,000 people you're building awareness with, but 50,000 people are interested and 7,000 people are really considering, and you've got a few thousand people that are likely to convert in the coming days, weeks, months, depending on how long the sales cycle is. So the longer your funnel is active, the more people that are going to be at every stage of the funnel, which does also mean you do typically see increased conversions month over month. It's easier to bring people into the funnel than it is for them to exit. So month 1, it might start a little slow, but month 2, month 3, month 4, by the time you get to month 6, your funnel's really big, it's healthy, there's a lot of people moving through it, and because you have more people at the conversion point of your funnel, the end of the funnel where they can exit and buy, because you have more people at that point, you're likely to see more conversions come through. And another thing I'll add real quick before we get to the Q&A is that this works really well for like B2B businesses that have long sales cycles. You might have a business solution that could take 3-6 months before they decide on it being the right solution, and then another month or 2 to implement. Remarketing is a great way to continually engage that lead list, so you're not relying on the sales team or whoever to send emails and to call and reach out to those prospects. You're also engaging them on social media and allowing them to learn more about your business and solutions. So while I have mentioned a lot of like products and sales side of things, it's also a real winning strategy for B2B businesses that may have longer sales cycles and just want to stay engaged and continuing to educate and build interest with their lead lists. All right, so that is about it. Thank you, everyone. And I hope everyone learned some real valuable insights on remarketing. That winning funnel I just shared is your path through that remarketing maze, but it's really only the beginning. As Riley said, these slides are going to be shared out tomorrow morning, so you are free to have screenshotted it or wait till the slides get sent out and kind of follow that funnel. But remarketing, can be a pretty complex topic. I'm sure there are a lot of questions that people have. I have the answers. So let's start the Q&A, and I'll just bring us to the next slide so you can see my information if you want to connect. But Riley, what do we have for questions from people today?
Yeah, so it looks like we only have one question so far. So just to reiterate, and thank you so much, Jonathan, for this incredible presentation, and for kind of laying out an example of the funnel just to kind of bring some clarity around all of this. If anyone has any questions about remarketing at all for social media, this is the time to ask those questions. Jonathan's been doing this for a while now, so it really is a great opportunity to get some questions answered. And just as Jonathan mentioned, tomorrow morning I'm going to send out an email with a link to both the recording to this webinar and also a link to the slides, so you'll have access to both of those. So while people are crafting their questions, we do have one from Paul, and you kind of touched on the conversion API a little bit earlier, but Paul wanted to know if you could just elaborate a little bit on the conversion API.
Sure, absolutely. Let me just bring it back to this slide here. So the conversion API is a system that Meta has built out that connects to your web server or your CRM, or you can upload offline data that you might be able to export from like your POS system. It's basically a connection between your data and Meta's advertising platform. That's a direct connection instead of having to go and rely on the web browser. So the way it works with the Pixel, and I think you really need to understand the Pixel to understand how the conversion API works. With the Pixel, what happens if someone goes to your site, they load up your site, the Pixel is installed on your website, the web browser loads the Pixel, it identifies that the Pixel is there, it checks to see if that person is logged into Facebook or Instagram, and it sends the data over to Meta to be able to connect that user on Facebook or Instagram to the actions that they took on the website. However, that web browser may block data or block tracking across apps. The device, if they're on iPhone, may block data and tracking across device. The browser might just freak out on you and not load for a second. Like I have so many Chrome tabs open that sometimes it just kind of grinds to a halt for a second every now and then. So there are a lot of issues with the web browser which can prevent that data from being sent to Meta. So even though someone went to your website, you're not going to see what actions they took, you're not going to be able to remarket to them. So what the conversion API does is connect your web server, your CRM, your offline data directly to Facebook and remove that dependency on the web browser. So right now, if someone goes to your site and they purchase something, you're not reliant on the web browser to tell you that someone purchased. Your web server is telling you that that person purchased. So this is installing that tracking into that web server. So depending on where your website's hosted, there are so many different ways to be able to implement this. So it's tough to say exactly where to go, but Meta does have fantastic instructions on how to install the API. And for the most common web platforms, they do have kind of a more automated process. But this conversions API, again, connects that consumer directly to the advertising platform. So anything anyone does on your website, you're getting the data on and not relying on the web browser and privacy settings of that individual. So hope that answers your question, Paul. It is a more complex topic, absolutely, but they do have fantastic resources on how to get that installed. If you've just search on Google, Facebook Events Manager. It will bring you directly there. You might need to make an account if you don't have a business account already. It's free though, and you'll put in your website link and it'll tell you exactly what you need to do to connect the Conversions API to your server.
Great. Cool. And Jonathan, near the end of your presentation, you gave kind of a breakdown of what this funnel might look like. And I'm just thinking for small business owners who are watching this and thinking, I think this funnel looks great, but my question is, what is it going to cost me? Do you have any guidelines or recommendations around budget allocation for this kind of a funnel?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great question. So, budget has definitely play in the quantity of results that you're going to be able to see. But it does not impact, the quality of your campaign. And we do work with businesses that have smaller advertising budgets. They can only do $100 here and there on campaigns. And if that's where you're at, remarketing most likely isn't going to work for you, because you do need to have a decent budget, maybe $750 plus, in order to pull the most out of remarketing, because you need to bring people through that funnel. We need to start with awareness, and that's a lower budget campaign, because it's a very low cost per impression on Meta to run these types of campaigns. So maybe you're only putting $100, $200 per month into your brand awareness campaign. And then with building interest, with website traffic, maybe here you're focusing on a budget of around $300 or so. So now we're up to a $500 budget all in for this campaign. Consideration, if we're looking at lead generation, this is collecting someone's contact information in return for a free resource, consultation, discount, those types of things. Maybe you don't have those types of things, so you could potentially even kind of fast track the funnel from building interest to focusing on conversion. So if you were to do that, I would say, minimum budget for either lead generation and conversion should be in that like $400 to $500 mark. So all in on this type of campaign, running this funnel, you might need to be able to budget $750 to $1,000, and that's on the kind of minimum to leverage something like this. I looked back at the struggling example here. They had spent $5,000 in under a month, hadn't seen any conversions, and we moved into a funnel that really accelerated things and blew them up. So people, if you have larger budgets, you can really accelerate your funnel. You can bring more people into it and bring more people through it at any given time. But even with a lower budget of $750, $1,000 a month, you're still able to utilize that funnel. You're just not going to have as many people moving through it as someone with a larger budget will. But this is one of my favorite things about social media, is that it levels the playing field between small businesses and giant corporations, because these are the same tools and techniques that they're using. You're going to have the same capabilities. You're going to have the same results. It's just going to be scaled on your budget. So that is something that is really powerful about social media and remarketing as a whole. You're going to be able to kind of scale this up, and as you see more conversions come through, maybe you can take a percentage of that and have it reinvested into your social media campaigns, so you continue to see more and more conversions every month.
Perfect. All right, so we have about 5 minutes left. If anyone has any burning questions, please go ahead and put those in the chat. And while we're waiting on questions, Jonathan, one more question. So with regard to frequency and how often we want our remarketing audiences to see our ads, what recommendations do you have around frequency and also mitigating ad fatigue?
Yeah. So Ad fatigue, that is when they've seen your ad so many times that they just start to ignore it. It just becomes part of the blur of scrolling their feed. And that's something you 100% need to be aware of. The best way to monitor ad fatigue is to track cost per results over time. As you start to see cost per results increase, that's letting you know that there may be some ad fatigue there. Because the only reason that you're seeing costs go up is that people they're not interested. They've seen it so many times. You need to show them something else in order to really engage them. Another nice thing about Meta is that they will tell you if they think your ad is starting to experience fatigue. They'll give you a little yellow, warning icon in the row of that campaign telling you that there may be ad fatigue there. But don't just go off what they say. Always look at the data. And when you're seeing that cost per result steadily climb, that's telling you there may be ad fatigue and it's time to swap it out. But frequency is going to be dependent on where you are in the funnel. Having a frequency of 1 to 2 is not good because that means you're not remarketing. People are seeing once or twice and then they're never seen again. You're banking on that impulse buy. And people realistically need to see your campaign, your offer at least 7 times before they take action and convert. And the way that that might work is we might have 2 or 3 impressions per person. So a frequency of 2 to 3 on the brand awareness side to see, hey, we showed it to them a few times. They watched the video. Did it catch their interest? Depending on how many ads you have running, that can impact your frequency as well. You might have 2 to 3 frequency per ad in your campaign. And then as you move up the funnel, when I'm on the conversion side, that's where I do want to see the highest frequency because those are people that have shown interest in your business. They're showing the buying sign. We need to hit them at the right time and again to get them to buy. So when we're on the conversion side, that's where we really want to see that frequency climb up so we can make sure we're hitting our most engaged audience, the people that are really about to buy the most number of times. But again, frequency minimum should be at around 7. That's when people really start moving to the purchasing mindset. They've seen enough, they understand the value, they're ready to buy. But it has taken plenty of times. I've looked at frequency and it's gone up to like 15, 18 times per person in order to get them to purchase. Kind of all comes down to the is your product something they need? Is your product something that they can easily understand? More complex solutions may require a higher frequency to be able to fully educate the consumer on why they need your solution.
Great. All right, so we have just a minute left, and I'm not seeing any more questions. So yeah, if you have any more questions, maybe you think about it after the webinar, feel free to reach out to Jonathan. So he's got his email here, jonathan.l@storytellit.com. You can also just reach out to me and I can put you in contact with Jonathan. So with that, Jonathan, thank you so much for today's webinar. And thanks everyone for attending, and hope to see you all on the next one.